It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, fellow queens. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, queen bee of this particular hive, as well as your resident psychotherapist and feminist life coach. Today, I am taking a break from our usual format to discuss the executions of citizens happening right here in the United States. I know I usually avoid directly discussing politics and or current events, but I can't be silent on this one. So buckle up because I'm going unscripted and this could end up being a total shit show. Before we begin, those of you who are actually watching me today, hello, welcome. This is me. This is who I am. I am on my new YouTube channel where I'm actually doing a video podcast instead of just audio. You asked, I answered, here we are. I'm nervous as hell, just so you know. Again, this could be a shit show, but I don't really want to make light of any of this right now because the reason why I actually decided to do this episode as my very first video podcast is because of the nature of what I'm going to be discussing. And I thought, why not? This is a good one to start with. Hopefully I won't cry because I do not like to cry on camera. You guys have heard me cry before doing some of my other podcasts if you have just listened. But when it comes to seeing it, I'm not one of those actresses that pretty cry, right, in the movies. No, I full on ugly cry. So let's hope I don't go there. Hopefully I won't get that heated. Also, another thing, if you are listening, please go over to YouTube and subscribe to my new YouTube channel. It's just the Hint Hive, all one word. You should be able to find me there. Hopefully I will figure out how to link it in the episode description. Also, one more thing. I was just so fired up about doing this video that I couldn't wait until I got my new equipment. So if this video quality isn't the best, I do hopefully have a plan for a better video. And hopefully also for those who are just listening instead of watching, I am using a new recording software. So please feel free to give me feedback if the sound quality absolutely sucks. Hopefully that's not the case. All right. We were supposed to be talking about codependency today. That was on my schedule to discuss. And I think that codependency is a very important topic to discuss because as women, we are forced into roles sometimes and that can turn into codependence. But again, what is happening in the United States right now is far more important to me and to many of my listeners who I've already heard from on this. And I just want to say one thing before I launch into hopefully what is more than just a rant. I'm sick and tired of hearing statements being issued by the government, by celebrities. I don't need to hear your statement anymore. And as a matter of fact, social media has been my nightmare lately. There are people who were angry because before Barack and Michelle Obama issued their statement, people were mad that they hadn't. Why? Why do we need someone else to tell us how to feel and what to do? People, it is time for us to take things into our own hands. We need to stop being so passive in this country and allowing other people to control certain things about our lives and things happening in the country. We don't need a politician to tell us that citizens being executed in the streets of Minnesota are wrong? Why do you need to hear a celebrity weighing in on it? Why do you need to hear a politician weighing in on it? Unless it is a current politician talking about how they're going to do something about it, right? So I'm sick of statements. I don't want to hear statements anymore. I want action. And so one of the things that I'm doing right now is to use my voice in this episode to encourage others to think about this. I think we all know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know when you're going to listen or watch this, but a few weeks ago, Renee Good was murdered by an ICE agent. And then a couple of weeks after that, Alex Pretti was murdered by apparently now 2 ICE agents. Apparently, DHS released a statement that there were 2 shooters. I don't even know where to begin. Well, actually, I want to start with Renee Good. She, according to everything I've read, was in a same-sex relationship, had children, and was, I don't know, apparently killed because she didn't comply with a man telling her something. I don't know. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm pissed, and I'm trying to keep it in check so that I just don't scream and swear into a microphone, because that's not going to help anyone. I don't think I need to explain what happened. I think everybody who's listening knows what happened, and you also saw it with your own eyes. You saw a woman. Here I go. I'm going to try really hard not to get emotional. You saw a woman telling an ICE agent, dude, it's okay, I'm not mad, right? One ICE agent was telling her to leave, and so she tries to leave. She turns her car, and that is the excuse that the government latched onto and tried to gaslight us into believing that she was trying to run over the other ICE agent with her car. It was clear from multiple angles in video that she was not trying to run him over. She was trying to leave, and she got shot in the face because of it. I'm not okay with that. And for every single person saying she should have just complied, excuse the fuck out of me, but you don't get to shoot someone in the face for not complying. Sorry, not sorry. That has obviously touched a sore spot in me, because violence against women has gone unchecked for too long. And now when it's happening by our government officials, and then we hear all kinds of people from the government saying that she was in the wrong, that she hit this asshole. When we hear the government lying about what she did, I don't get it. Like, we literally all saw it. Okay, so there's that situation. And then we have Alex Pretti. Alex Pretti, who was a legal gun owner, by the way. Conservatives, why don't you have his back on that one? Oh, is it because he was helping a woman? Is that what was going on? Is that why you're mad? Or just because he wasn't acting as a conservative? I don't know, because he was actively at a protest and or helping women. I don't know. I can't get into the minds of these people who are defending the execution of citizens. So again, back to the facts of Alex Pretti. He had a gun on him in his waistband. He did not take it out. He did not threaten anyone with it. He was helping a woman who had fallen. He was guarding a woman from getting pepper sprayed. And for that, he gets thrown to the ground, pistol whipped in the face, beaten, and shot. I think the last count I heard was 10 times. Guns went off 10 times. I don't know. And again, there are people saying that it was a justified killing. First, it was because he shouldn't have been there and he should have complied, he shouldn't have resisted. And then when it came out that he had a gun, oh, he had a gun. And then we've even got, I don't want to say his name because I don't want this podcast to get flagged, but we have the leader of the country saying he shouldn't have had a gun. But it was okay for all the January 6th protesters, aka insurrectionists. It was okay for them to have guns, and it was okay for them to storm the Capitol. But it wasn't okay for Alex Pretti to exercise his Second Amendment right and have a gun on his person, a legal registered gun that he did not take out. And just because he was simply there, he deserves to get shot in the back of the head and then multiple other times. Okay. Again, I don't want to keep repeating everything that we're seeing on Facebook because we're seeing all of these comments. But I really want to highlight the fact that the government is gaslighting us, trying to make us believe what we already saw with our own eyes. People, we have laws, we have a constitution for a reason. And this Republican administration is making a mockery of everything that this country stands for. They are spitting in the face of our Constitution. They are violating our human rights over and over and over. They are cruel. They are horrible. They're doing whatever they want. And nobody, Democrat, Independent, Republican, not one of our government officials are putting a stop to it. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling kind of freaking helpless. Anyone else out there with me on this? I know that I have reviewed in past episodes some of the things that we can do as far as like getting involved in local politics, stuff like that. So I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to go over and over that. But I do encourage all of you to do some of these things. Call your senators. And actually, I have a number. Call your senators, 202-224-3121. Leave them messages. Lots and lots of messages. Tell them how unhappy you are. Now, that's not the only thing that you can do, but that's one of the things. One of the reasons why I'm not doing that every single day and annoying the crap out of them is because they're not listening to us. We are already making it known in the streets through protests all over this country that we're not okay with what's happening, and yet nothing's being done. So, calling your senators, I don't know. I feel like a little bit more needs to be done. So another one of the things that I'm doing is I'm using my voice. I'm calling out injustice where I can. I'm using it in this podcast episode today to talk about it. Even though, again, I tend not to go into like controversial current events much because I like to focus on feminist topics and equality for people. However, this is directly related to that, right? But even in conversations that you have with people, don't be silent. Point out why you feel the way you feel. Point out that we watched on TV or social media 2 individuals getting shot and killed simply for being who they were. And that's not okay. We need to do something about it. And I know also I want to acknowledge, again, I'm a therapist, so I get this. A lot of us are feeling a lot of emotional fatigue right now. We don't know what to do. Again, that helpless feeling that we have. And sometimes that causes us to want to isolate. I know, I'll admit it. I've struggled over the last week with some depression because this isn't okay. What's happening in this country is not okay. And let me be clear. we have been screwing up in this country for centuries, okay? There have been injustices, since the beginning of humanity. I don't want to take away from any other movement that has happened in this country. We need to do better as citizens. And I just feel like right now is a turning point. Right now is the time. Get involved in local politics if you see things locally that you would want to get involved in, that you would want to help out with. Go to a protest. I know people say protesting doesn't work. The optics of protests are fabulous, first and foremost, because it gives our government a visual of how many people are angry about this, of how many people this matters to. And they get scared that they're going to lose their seats. So we need to be actively organizing more and more protests because, again, that visual is really important because eventually, if enough people unite together, we can make change. So I encourage you. And again, the things that I suggest, I understand that not everybody can do them. I am very sympathetic and empathetic to people who can't get out there and protest. I'm one of them who has a chronic health condition where this current weather I'm recording out of New York. So like the weather here is a nightmare, when you have below zero temperatures. And again, I know that sounds so freaking petty when we're talking about people who have lost their lives. I get it, but I also understand we have to take care of ourselves, but also we have to do something, okay? So we don't have to occupy every lane. Not everybody has to go out and protest, but figure out what it is that you can do. And one of the other things that I really, really encourage is to educate yourselves. Know the facts. There's a lot of emotion out there right now. Tensions are high. There's misinformation. It's really sad when it's coming from the freaking government, right? Again, not going to go on a rant on that one. However, there are some wonderful humans out there doing some really hard work. Heather Cox Richardson is one of them. I subscribe to her and I read her letters every single day. She takes so much time. She's brilliant. She is a very, very intelligent woman. She does the research. She's a political historian. She ties things from current events to the past. She does the research for us so we can be slightly lazy on this, right? So please use Heather Cox Richardson as one of your resources to inform you of what's going on. And I like that what she has started doing also is not an outright like trigger warning, but she will say, you shouldn't read this one before bed. Save this one for the morning, because sometimes she talks about some pretty heavy stuff. So again, highly, highly, highly recommend Heather Cox Richardson. Another suggestion that I have that I am also exercising myself is to get involved in groups aligned with your beliefs. And I'm talking whether it be Facebook groups or local activist groups. Locally, I'm actually trying to get some people together myself or actually look for some existing groups because, again, political groups aren't always the way to go. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes Democrats just don't know how to do anything but take the high road, and the high road hasn't gotten us anywhere. The high road has lost us some elections. The high road has cost us way too much. And I'm not saying resort to violence. I'm not saying that at all. However, we have to fight. We have to fight fire with fire, but that doesn't always translate to violence. So please don't get the wrong message here. One of the other things that you can do if you want to be among like-minded people, there are tons of Facebook groups out there. And from there, you can branch out even more. You can find local people like-minded people. Come join the Hint Hive Facebook group. Just search the Hint Hive podcast on Facebook. The women in there are fabulous. They're not judgmental. I use that as a place for, like, you can discuss each episode there. Also, you can find, network together. We share, like, funny memes sometimes when people here in the US aren't getting shot in the face. Yeah, it's been a little heavy lately. It's been hard to find the female camaraderie that I like, because a lot of us are just so freaking exhausted from everything that's happening. Another group that I just recently discovered and I'm going to highly, highly, highly recommend. It is a Facebook group. It is called We Are Mayday, and then in parentheses, The Handmaid's Tale in Our Current Political Reality. I just joined that one. I love the show, The Handmaid's Tale. And since the pandemic, that's when I started watching it. And I started noticing things that were a little creepy at the time. I'm like, oh, wow, I could see this happening here in America. And here we are. There are way too many similarities of things happening now that mirror the origins of what happened in The Handmaid's Tale. Also, The Handmaid's Tale is a book by Margaret Atwood. I read the book. It's fantastic, but the show goes deeper because the show is several seasons long. And actually, there's a spin-off or sequel or whatever they call it, called The Testaments. That's coming out in April. Anyway, sorry. See, this is what happens when I don't have a script. But I wanted to try it again. The last one didn't go too well, but here I am doing it again. So anyway, the We Are Mayday group on Facebook is fabulous. And I actually talked with one of the admins in the group, and she's so wonderful. Her name is Lisa. She told me that there are women who moderate, and not just women. There are people in there. I see a lot of women posting. I'm sure that there are lots of guys in there too, and I do see their posts too. But she told me that there are people from all over the world who moderate and admin that group, and I love it. She was so fantastic when I reached out to her on Messenger, and she told me that I could talk about my podcast in the group, and also that I could promote her group on the podcast. That's what I'm doing, because there's chatter in the group about actions that we can take. And this is what I'm talking about. We need to take action. Our government is failing us. Again, I'm not suggesting any kind of violence whatsoever, but I'm saying we need to organize. We need to get creative, and we need to do something, because I am done watching people getting murdered in the streets. I'm done. For me, my activism really kicked in back during the pandemic when George Floyd was murdered. That was my awareness that I have enjoyed the privilege of being white for so long. And that brought racism right to the forefront for me. So I knew that I couldn't be silent any longer. And that's when I started losing family members and friends, and, everyone's deleting me off Facebook or whatever. That's fine, because if you want to be mad at me for wanting to advocate for people, then be mad at me. And if you choose not to be my friend, if you want to disown me, fine, have at it. I think you're an asshole. If you are not bothered by what's happening in the world today, I've got some opinions about you too. So back to The Handmaid's Tale for a second. For those who have seen the show, even with that, people are divided. They're saying that, it's just a show, and what happened in the show isn't happening in the United States. All you people are being dramatic, blah, blah, blah. Then you didn't pay attention to the show. Because what happened in the show is what could happen here, because some of the stuff is already happening. When I hear J.D. Vance talking about taking away women's right to vote and having the head of the household be the sole vote, how is that not going the direction of The Handmaid's Tale? Please help me understand. That to me is just one of many. The overturning of Roe versus Wade, the constant attack on women's rights, humans' rights, minority rights, people of color. I don't understand why you don't see the similarities. I, for one, do not want to see my country turn into Gilead. For those of you who watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. So hopefully we can do what we need to do, organize, band together to prevent this from happening. And the other thing that I wanted to address is the constant division and how infighting is not the answer. And this is, I see this among women a lot. Women infighting. We need to stop. Now is the time for people of all shades to band together and support one another. We need to acknowledge any hurt that our particular color has caused another and move forward together to fight the common enemy. I'm not trying to say that anyone shouldn't be resentful of the lot that they were given in life. I'm simply saying that we need to make change, and the only way to do this is to unite. Even among therapists, there are divisions. This one shocked me. There was some dude on Facebook calling out therapists, saying it is our duty to do something about what is happening in the country. It is our duty to take action. And my knee-jerk reaction was like, buddy, I do stuff every day. Like, you want more and more and more out of me. I don't know what you want. Like, I can't be out in the streets every single day protesting, because that's one of the things that he was alluding to, was that, we need to put our jobs aside and do this. Okay. So my other knee-jerk reaction, because I'm a feminist, I wanted to comment on his post and ask him if he spends his days calling out men for all of their assaults on women. I wanted to ask him if he goes and he preaches nonviolence against women, if he goes and is an activist for women, because that's one of the things that's like super important to me. But instead, I did the right thing and I kept scrolling. The thing that many people forget to do, right? Because I'm not going to get into a fight on the internet with somebody who's making a very divisive comment. Yes, we all have our part in this, but calling people out in that manner, not cool. If you, like, what I would have preferred was if he saw somebody like actively saying something that was not supportive of the therapist ethical codes and morals that we have to live by. Yes, call that out. Don't call out the people already doing the stuff, and don't tell us we need to do more, because we're already strapped. All right. So usually I have an affirmation that I like to end with. I'm not going to do that today because I don't have it in me. I don't have the inspiration in me today. I don't have it in me to come up with some cutesy saying, even some inspirational saying, because I'm tapped. If you listened to last week's episode, congratulations on coming back and listening to me, even though you could have judged me, because last week's episode on I hate being a caregiver may have been rough for some of you to hear. So thank you for not judging me. I appreciate that. Again, nobody knows my whole story but me. And so that's one of the things that, again, it ties into what's happening in this country today. So many people rush to judgment about Renee Good. So many people rush to judgment about Alex Pretti. Stop. we need to stop. Shooting people is not the answer. Violence is not the answer. But also, sitting back passively and letting everybody else take care of the problem is not the answer either. So, ladies, you are my Hive Queen inspiration. You come and you listen to this show week after week, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know that some of you really, really push this show to your friends. You encourage them to listen, and that means so much to me, because we need to spread the word of empowerment for women, equality for everybody. That is our duty. That is our duty as humans, to take care of one another. And the fact that you take time out of your day every single week to listen to me yammer on into a microphone, I'm just grateful. I'm very, very grateful for that. And I want to use this platform for good. There are people who listen all over the world to this podcast. And I'm so grateful for that, because we need the message to spread that human beings deserve equality. And unfortunately, we don't have it, not even here in the United States, where people think they do. I know that there are other places that have it worse, but we're heading that way too. So I'm not going to wrap up with an affirmation other than to join the fight in whatever way that you can. You need to resist, because what's happening here in the United States is not okay. And I'm asking you to please understand that compassion and love change the world, but we need to take action sometimes too. I will continue to post in my Hint Hive Facebook group on any kind of organizing that's going on. Also, again, get connected to the Mayday group. They are fantastic. We are Mayday on Facebook. There are people in there who are connecting. And I think that it's a really, really good resource for those of us who want to do something. So thank you for listening to this unorganized rant. What a bizarre way for me to do my very first video podcast. I certainly didn't plan it like this, but I thank you so much for being patient and for putting up with it. And I promise next week I will be back to writing my script so that I can stay on topic and organized, because I already know I've probably forgotten about 1,000 things that I wanted to say to everyone. But I'm just, my heart felt very burdened, and I had to get this off my chest and just encourage people to please, please, please do something. Okay, ladies, until next time, keep being your badass selves. You are amazing. You are so much stronger than what you realize. I know some of you personally, and you are amazing. Don't stop. Don't stop using your voice. Keep up the fight. Do what you can to help one another. Until next time, ladies. See ya. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.